Thank you, Manjunath sir. Hey guys, welcome back. I hope you had a great day so far. And today we'll be continuing with wherever we left yesterday. So you must be all aware that we could not finish. Good afternoon, guys. We could not finish our schedule as per yesterday. So we will continue with that, and we'll deal today's concepts as well. I hope I'm audible and clear enough today. Can you
It's
please
clear,
confirm?
sir. No
Yeah,
problem.
thanks. Just a minute. Good afternoon, guys. I'm trying to open my Google Colab and share the screen. Give me 1 minute. I hope you can see the screen as well. Yes. So yesterday we finished the introduction to the Python, which had history of Python and why programming, right? Why Python programming specifically, and basics of Python, like how do we write a first code and how does operators work in Python and indentations, comments, and all of that, right? So today we'll continue with the data types. What all the data types that we have, and they will see detailed understanding of what the data types are capable of doing in Python specifically. And then moving on from data types, we'll go on to the conditions, which is a control flow, and then we'll move on to loops, and then we'll move on to file operations, exception handling, and rest of the concepts that we have today. All right, so um, let me show you the presentation slide. So if you see here, so these are the data types that we have in Python programming so far. So after we discussed operators, we did understand yesterday that during operations, there will be operands, right? Operand one and operand two, and operator can be of any operator. Arithmetic, it can be assignment, it can be comparison, it can be logical, it can be any operators that we have in Python, right? So now if we can understand the types of data types that are going to be possible in Python, we can play those operators and also the next concepts, control flow structures very well. So we can see here the tree. uh, in here we have first is numeric data type. So integer, float, complex number are such, and then boolean, which can be true or false. Set, dictionary. This set is almost similar to your mathematical set if you're already aware of. And the dictionary, which is object in other programming languages or a JSON. And sequence types, this is a category here. Sequence types are list, tuple, string. So now just by looking at it, we are not able to understand or compare among each other, right? So once we finish all the data types, we'll understand why this specific thing is numeric and why this specific thing is sequence, and if you can, and why this is set and dictionary. So after all this data types, explanation, I want you guys to completely differentiate from one data type to another data type, and what are the advantages of using that particular data type, and what is the difference from using one data type to another data type. So if you have, trust me, with respect to Python programming, the more and the better you have an idea on the data types, the better is going to be your life with respect to Python programming, unlike the other programming languages. So you can consider that the data types, learning data types itself will give you 25% of your Python programming. So it's that effective. So without late, let me go to my Google Colab. As we understood yesterday, how do we deal this Google Colab? If somebody is new today, or if somebody who still didn't get it, just go to your browser, open Google Colab, just a repetition. Go to Google Colab, click on the first link. I will be sharing my Google Colab notebook in the chat as well. Please try to access it, and whenever you refresh it, all my code snippets that I'm doing it on my screen will be reflected in your screen as well. So you don't need to take the struggle of doing it and simultaneously. But when I'm saying it, please listen to me. If you wish, you can try it on your own. All right. So yeah. So go to Google Colab, click on your very first link, Google Collaboratory, and you can ignore this, or you can click on new notebook right away here. If you click on this, it will immediately take you to a new notebook. Okay, what I suggest you is keep my classroom notebook in parallel with your new notebook as well. If you're doing along with me, that's great, because these sessions are going to be completely hands-on. Unless until you try it on your own, it will not be that much effective. So I wish and I encourage you guys to do this simultaneously with me. But first, listen to me when I'm saying this. Right? So that is how you come to the Google Colab. And now coming to the data types. So I'm taking a text cell to give the heading, which is data types. As you saw the presentation slide, we have numeric data type, very first one, numeric category, I mean to say. The first one is the int, of course, and the second one is the float, of course, and the third one is the doubt that you guys asked yesterday, the complex number. So these are the available numeric data types in Python. So let us take an example and see how do they exist. So as we discussed, how do we define a variable with all the rules, invalid variables and valid, how do we define a valid variable name and invalid variables, keeping those things in the context. I will just take a simple letter A as my variable, and I'll just write 2. In this case, I'm very sure that you might have already known what is this data type, right? This is obviously an integer, but what is the confirmation that this is an integer? Let me close this. What is the confirmation that this is an integer? We have type function in our Python. You can give this function as an input. A is a variable that I have, so I'm sending that A inside my type function to check which data type I'm having. So as this is my very first time executing this code for this notebook, it might take a couple of seconds. So just hold on for the first few seconds of first cell. Later on, it will be very fast. Great. So it shows us that it is an int data type. So this is how you confirm whatever the variable that you have, the value is of which data type. All right. So let me now try out something else. So if I give 3.89, which is obviously a decimal number and it is a float, right? So let's try that. The float. Agree? And let's try a complex number as per our previous day discussion. Let's say 3j, and run it. So this is a complex number. So this is the numeric category data types that we have. So in this, obvious that this is a real value and this is an imaginary value, where j is the combination, right? So you don't need to just write complex in this way itself. You can give 2 as a different variable and 3 as a different variable, and you can write those 2 variables here also. That is also possible. All right. So now moving ahead to the next data type. Let's take first sequence category. sequence category. And let us also speak about strings. So when I keep hash, you do understand by this time that it's a comment, right? So now moving on to strings, let me define a string. Now, what is a string? A string can be combination of any character that you have on your keyboard. Not of course your control keys, but any character. It can be an alphabet, it can be a numeric category, it can be a symbol. But when you enclose them within a square, within a double quotes or a single quotes, let's confirm it. Let's say in my case Python is one string. What is the confirmation? I would say gives you the string. Str is a shortcut for the string. So alternative is either you use single inverted commas and still it works, or double inverted commas, still it works, no problem with that. And what all can we give inside the strings? You can give alphabets, you can give caps locks, you can give numbers, you can give symbols. There is no restriction with respect to strings, because anything that you keep inside it is just going to use as it is. So no problem with this. This is also a string. Okay, so now elaborating little more strings, let us take a simple string example, Python itself. So what all the other things are we going to be, are we capable of doing with strings? So by the time I finish all the data types conclusions, so what I request or what I suggest you to come up with a summary is, there are few steps or there are few takeaways that we have to carry from every data type. So you have to name those data types in comparison of all the data types. So the first one is indexing concept. So this is my string and I would like to access only first character of my string. In this case, I won't like to access just letter P, but not entirely. If I want to access entire string, we already knew that it's print and capital A, right? And when you run this, you get every string, every character of it. But in this case, I would like to access only the first character of it. So what I will do is print A is my variable, but I would like to access only first character of it. So in this case, we will be using a concept called indexing. Indexing means every character of your string will have one specified number allocated for it. So it's like this. If you can see my Jamboard, so I have taken an example called a variable, which has this string. So a combination of 5 letters. I would like to access only first character of it. So the numeric sequence goes always from 0. So 0 character, first character, second character, third character, fourth character, and fifth character. So this is called positive indexing. This is one way of accessing each and every character of this string. There is also alternative to this, which comes from right to left, which is the last character, starts from -1, and obviously it keeps on growing like this. In this case declining, because the negative values always decrease, right? So this is -4. So -1, -2, -3, -4, -5, -6. You can now access, let us assume letter T. I would like to call only T. So in this case, you can access either number 2 as per positive indexing or -4 as per negative indexing. So the way we call in the syntax of Python is A is my variable, which consists of entire string, and please use square brackets. Inside the square brackets for the indexing, you have to specify which character you would like to access. So in my case, it is letter number 2. So if I say A of 2, it will give me T. Or if I give -4, it will still give me T. So let's confirm that. We'll come back to our hands-on collab notebook. We come here and then access A of 2 in this case. So if you see here, it's 0, 1, 2. So this is T is 2. That's why I'm accessing T. So here it is. So now what if I also try accessing it by a negative indexing, which in this case is -4. So t can be -4 from negative indexing, which comes from right to left. So let me access -4. This is also t. So either positive indexing is fine, negative indexing is fine. It's totally your choice, guys. Now, is it done? Are we done? No. Okay, fine. Now you are telling us to access single character. But what if I want to access multiple characters at a time? Let's say I would like to access THO, right? This is exactly where the on another concept comes, slicing. So we are slicing the string that we have. So I would like to slice right now my string from T to letter O, right? So now coming back to our Jamboard. So how do I slice from position 2 to 4, right? So the same syntax, a square brackets, but I would like to access THO only from the Python. So what I'll choose is the number 2, right? This is the start in the syntax for this is start for the slicing, colon, stop, stop index value, which always gets excluded, which is always getting excluded, and the next one is the step value. So this is a syntax, generic syntax for any question. In my example, I would like to access THO from entire Python. So it starts from number 2 according to my positive indexing. So I'll write start value as 2. Stop. Where am I supposed to stop? HO. O is the fourth indexing. As I said, it always gets excluded. You should just add +1, the position +1. Because if I write 4, this gets excluded and it will only access TH. But if you want also to be included, please write 4 + 1, which is 5. And right now, there is no, I'm not introducing the concept of step right away. Let us try to understand this part first. So what does this mean? From 2, index number 2 to index number 4, which is 5 right now, which gets excluded, right? Which is nothing but 5 minus 1, 4. So let's confirm this. In this case, for this disturbance, print a, and the number is 2 colon 5. Let's try doing this. So you get THO. This is how you do slicing in the Python program. Okay, so fine. This is also fine. Can you also show us how do we access with negative indexing? That is also possible. All that you have to do is, what is the negative indexing for this? -4, right? So the character that I am looking forward is THO. So T is -4 and -2 is for O. So +1 in this case is going to be -1. So when I go for print a of -4 colon -1, still get THO. So this is with positive indexing. This is with negative indexing. It's totally your choice, guys. There is no such restriction. You should do positive, you should do negative. It's totally up to you. Right? So that is how you do this. Now, this is also fine. How do I access reverse way? So THO is the string that I try to access here, but I would like to access, let's say, HTY, somewhere here, HTY, which is in reverse order. That is also possible. Let's come to our Jamboard. So here I am trying to execute and access HTY, which is in the reverse order. So what should I do is A of this is where the direction matters, right? So earlier on we directly went from left to right, which is a positive direction, but now I am trying to access in a reverse way, which is negative direction. That is exactly where you can also make use of the step. So now I am trying to access HTY, which starts from number 3 colon, should end at Y. So when I say Y, in this case 1, let us see what does it happen right now. As we should remember that it gets exploded. Let us say in this case 3 colon 1, and I'm going reverse way. So my step value becomes -1 because I'm starting from right to left because I'm trying to access HTY in a reverse way. Let us check this and see if it is actually printing or is there anything that we have to do. So for HTY, then values are 3 colon 1 colon minus 1. Let us see. Print A of 3 colon 1 colon minus 1. It is because we are going in the reverse way. Now you see this, we only got access to HT. Remember I said for step value it should be excluded, and in the positive indexing we added plus 1 there. So in this case we are going from right to left, we should do minus 1. So in that case 1 minus 1 is going to be 0. So it will give us HTY. Alright, so this is how the step indexing in a reverse way also works. Now what is other advantages of using step value? What if there is another scenario? If I want to only print even characters or odd position characters, let's say in my case, I would like to print P, P, O, only these three characters. So if you clearly observe here, P, T, O in the sense, the position of P is 0 and T is 2 and O is 4. So you can see the pattern here. It is 0 plus 1, 0 plus 2 and then 2 plus 2. So it is skipping one character in between, right? So there, if you are skipping one character in between and if you are supposed to add plus 2, that is where we will be making use of step value. So in this case, I am trying to access A. I am expecting P also to be printed. So I'll write 0 colon and I'm expecting till O and I'm going from left to right. So obviously I'll go for positive indexing right now because my characters are PTO, which is from left to right. So 0 colon 1, 2, 3, 4, which gets excluded. So 5. So what I'll write is 0 to 5, but I would like to go with step value 2 because I am expecting to skip one character in between. If I add 2 for 0, it will be second one. If I add 2 1 for that, it will be 4. So let's see what will be the output for that. So in this case, print 0 colon 5 if I remember and 2. So PT was expected output. That is how you make use of step indexing. So what are all the possibilities now? You can go from left to right, you can go from right to left, you can go skipping between any characters as much you wish. If you want to skip three characters, you can easily write 3 in this. So that is how the step indexing works. So yeah, the reason why I'm explaining this elaboratively with slicing concept is the same concept will be used in all the data types and even in pandas libraries that we are going to learn in the upcoming session. So even if it's a data analysis library or in a Python, any data type, the slicing concept remains same everywhere. So if you can learn this at one time clearly with all the exercises, trust me, you will not regret learning this. It will be same applied for the other concepts. Great. So that is how the slicing and indexing concept works in strings. So moving on, what are all the possibilities that we can do on the strings? So let me take another example of string. Let's say this time, excuse me, please mute yourselves. Yeah, thank you. So I just took another example now, hello world. In this case, I want to see what are all the methods or all the operations that I can do on the strings. So for that, you can always refer to W3 schools as I suggested you the last day. So in this case, W3 schools Python. So let me click on it. Very good tutorial, very good with examples. So in this website, you see the strings here. So I clicked on strings. So these are the concepts that all you can do and apply under the strings, right? So we just discussed about slicing it and it, right? You can see the string methods. Click on string methods. You will see the list of all the possible methods, all the things that you can apply on top of a single string, right? So obviously we'll not waste our time on explaining each and every function of it. There is a detailed documentation of each and every function on it. Please feel free to take any example and then apply any of this function based on the theory given to it. And I will not even suggest you to remember all of this. Again, if you just Google for this as function, all that you should learn from this is when to use which function as per the situation. So if you can learn the basics of this up to these concepts, remembrance of these functions will not be necessary. All right, so let me also give examples for the other concepts. So you can see that there is modify strings, concatenate strings, and format strings. So what are they? So modify strings in the sense, in my case, a is equals to hello world is one string, but I want to make it as, let's say something like this, hello world. I would like to replace my h with bellow, h with b, right? So in that way, how do we replace something in this? What is the character that I would like to replace here? H. What is the index value of it? It is 0, right? So what I am doing right now is I will try to do this. A of 0, currently, if I run this, so this is small a, not the capital A. So you can see that I accessed H. This is a comment, guys. And A of 0 is H. If I have to replace 0th position character with string B, let us see if it does support. No, right? So you see this item assignment. So there is concept of item assignment which is going to work in all the other data types except in strings. So I'm doing this mistake for you to remember that there is a concept of item assignment where you can replace a specific character like this based on the index value. In this case, if I'm not able to do this, there is a function to do that where you can apply replace. The functions are very straightforward and in simple English. You can just use replace. Let's say in this case, I'm trying to replace H with B, and I would like to see what happens. You see that? So H got replaced with B. Excuse me. So this is exactly where so built-in functions are going to be helpful for you. Uh, this is one character replacement. If you would like to replace complete hello itself with hi, that's still possible. So you can completely replace the string with another word also altogether. All right. So that is with replacement. And in this way, I would like to add something else to this string. Hello world is fine, but extension to that, I would like to add something else. So let me take another string called b. Let's say hello world for the for all of the, let's say. So this is another string. I have two strings now. A is hello world and B is this. I would like to concatenate both. A plus B. So what we observe in this is if I just put a simple arithmetic operator on top of these two strings, it will just append. It will just add these two strings and then give you the output. So this is what concatenation means. You can concatenate as many strings as you wish in the real time. So there is no limit that you can only do one or two. You can keep on doing all of this if you have values for it. Or you can directly add right away string like this. Members of AP, let's say. So let's run this. So A had hello world from here to here, and B had for all of the faculty members, and then of AP is well. You see that there is a space missing here. It is because there is no space before this or even after this, right? So what I'm going to do is if I want space, I'll give here and also here. That will give you the correct output. So this is how the concatenation of strings happens in Python. All right. So that is how you do it. And another concept is format strings. So there is a syntax for it. Let me take, let's say A is, let's say somebody called Ravi, and B is, let's say it has a number. Let's say C is having, let's say Teja, something. So in this case, I would like to print a statement which has, let's say, my friend, which is nothing but Ravi in this case. My friend name is Ravi. So I would like to mention his name. Let's say if I can write A, will it work? I'm actually referring to the value of A, which is Ravi. But as I'm using strings here, as I said, if you are using a string which means wrapping between two inverted commas, this a is not going to replace the value of a from the variable. It means you have to make the string understand that it is a variable that you are referring to. Whenever there is this kind of situations, there are multiple ways of solving this. Either you stop the string right there, give comma as a separator, write the value variable that you want to use, comma, and then start your string again. Let's say my friend owns, uh, let's say owns, let's give spaces also. Let's use the B variable here, owns 200 cars, and I need another name, and C, C is a variable again, Teja also owns same cars. So what is there? What is happening in this entire thing is you have this statement which you are actually referring to. My friend Ravi owns 200 cars. Teja also owns same cars. Let's say and also Teja owns same cars. So this is a statement that I eventually want to print, but there is a variable that I'm using it. So let me give you a real-time example. Imagine you are supposed to send 1,000 emails out there, and when I said 1,000 emails, obviously 1,000 subscribers, right? So 1,000 different people, 1,000 different names, 1,000 different emails. So, but you don't want to do that hard work of sending each and every mail one at a time, customizing the message for them, right? So, but let's imagine a situation where you want to invite for your own home inaugural function through mail, and you write all the content ready. Only position that you want to change is their name or their address or their whatever, let's say their spouse name or all. That is where you just write entire sentence. Whenever there is a changing or customizing thing needed, you just consider as a variable. So in my case, let's say this is a statement I want to mail for 1,000 different people. Only thing that take care is I will keep on changing these variable names. Maybe I'll put it in a CSV sheet or Excel sheet and I'll send it as an input. We will see file operations there. But this statement will remain same. Only thing that changes is variable. Let's see. If you see here, A got replaced with the value of it, B got replaced with the value of it, C got replaced with the value of it. Okay, so now if I change 200 to 500, it will just replace. So this is how the string concepts you have it in format string. So what is the advantage is the same thing can also be done with this format concept. Same output, but you instead of you taking headache of doing multiple separators, we will do it like this. Whenever there is a variable, just keep placeholder. This is called placeholder. You call it flower brackets, but this is called placeholder in Python. Leave it empty right now. Remove all these in between things. All of this is just a simple English sentence. So now here you want a variable to be there, and here you want a variable to be there, and yeah. So now my English statement is ready. If you observe here, this needs A, this needs B, this needs C. For that, what I'll do is, if I have to apply format concept, just write F. As soon as you put F, that becomes format string concept, and all of these placeholders will be enabled. Now you should let it know what are the variable values that you want to replace in these placeholders here, here, and here. So you just mention that here. In this case, A, B, C. Let's try running this. You will eventually see that you don't even need multiple strings and multiple operators. It can automatically detect whatever is the value of A and it will replace it. So this is the format string concept that you have. There is another alternative which is dot format, which is again the same concept, and I would not be wasting my time on it. Okay, so that is for your self referral. This is how the entire situation of strings look like. All right. So there are a lot of usages. Again, we'll be dealing them in the upcoming concepts. Now moving on to sequence data types. First thing I'll be discussing is list, and then we'll move on to tuple. If people call tuple, I'm an Indian English guy, so I'll call it tuple. And we also have dictionaries and set separately. I'll keep this for later. So let us now concentrate only on list. So if you see here, under sequence, we have list, string, and tuple. Let me push. If I want to move this tool somewhere else, I can use this arrow marks. So I'll keep the sequence here. Let's discuss about list. So how does a list look like? Again, taking a variable to store my list will make it with the square brackets representation. Let me just give few numbers as an input, as an example, and let me try to print it. See, you already had seen it. Whenever I wanted to confirm the data type, what did I use it? Just apply type function. So you can just go for type. It'll immediately show you the output data type that you have. So that is the type, which is in this case list. If you want to see the list, as usual, print A. Now, what are all the things can I apply on top of lists? There are a lot of methods that you can apply on top of this. As I said again, the slicing and indexing concept remains same in all the data types. In this case, let us imagine I am trying to access number 3, but you do remember our indexing concept starts from 0 from left to right. So this number has 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. That is a position, right? So right now, doesn't matter if the value is a number or value is a string character. The position is always from 0 to n. So in this case, 3, value is 3, but the position is 0, 1, 2. So I'll try to access with the same square brackets, a of 2, which means second position item. So let me say this. So you will get access to 3. So what are all these? These are all called items or elements of this data type list. So this is a list is a collection of items or elements which are in a indexing concept based or a sequential indexed assignment. Again, obviously in real time, this is exactly where array concepts in other languages come. We do have array concepts in Python also, but we use it under library called NumPy, which we are going to discuss soon. And there is a difference between array in Python to the list in Python. They are not same. If you guys are having other languages knowledge, array in Python is different to array in JavaScript or other languages. There are few differences. When the time comes with the respect to NumPy library, we will discuss it there. All right. So hoping that is fine. And the same indexing concept, same slicing. As I said, now I would like to access, let's say 3, 4, 5, but not 1, 2. But I don't want to modify my original variable. I only want to access 3, 4, 5. So in that case, you do remember the indexing concept. So the position of this is 0, 1, 2. So it starts from 2, goes up to 3, 4. So 4 also, right? So let me start. I'll show you one magic in this. You started from second position and you did not mention when to stop, because it is obvious that till the end. So you mean to say you want from number 3 till the end. So if you are meaning that till the end, you don't need to specify any value there. just leave it empty, it will start from second positions. You get see this? This output is for this print function. This output is for this last line. As I said again, for the last line in Google Colab, you don't need a print function, but it's good if you have one as a good practice. So I'll just make it, I'm sorry, I'll make print here as well. So we have two outputs for two print functions. So this is where it starts, second position till the end. No, you don't want till the end. Let's say you only want to access only 3, 4. So what will we do in that case? Print again, A again, from second element to, if you see the indexing again, 0, 1, 2, 3. I am expecting 3, 4 only as an output. So this is 2 and 3. As I said, index value, end value must be excluded, right? So 0, 1, 2, 3 in a sense, 3 will be excluded if I write exactly 3. So I will write 4. Let us see. 3, 4. What happens if I just write 3? It will exclude that third index position number or item or character, just like in strings. You can see that difference. See, you only got 3. It's because it's excluding the third position, which is in this case this. So that is the difference with the index. All right. Hope that you understood this concept. And other possibilities with respect to list is, let's say you can also use a function called list. This is a function. This is a built-in function. List, on top of this, you can give values like this. Let's say A, K, H. This is alternative way of representing or defining a list. It's totally up to you. If you write like this, it's fine. If you write like this, it's totally fine. Usually we apply this when we want to do type conversions. It means you have one data in one data type and you want to shift it from another data type to another data type. So that is where this will come. I think this is going to be situational. You will soon understand this. Now, moving ahead, I want to see, let's say I want to replace number 4 in this case with 40. So what I'll do is, let me take a new cell itself. I'll copy paste this example. And I would like to access only number 3 on top of it. So as I said, let's say 4. 4 will be accessed by number 3, right? This is the index value because index starts from 0. All right, so A of 3 is 4, but I want to replace this 4 with 40. If I do this and check back my A, print A, so I'll get my list back. So this is how you do it. Though Simon said there are other functions that are in Google Colab. We have an advantage. If you write the variable name and then dot and then press Control plus spacebar, it will show you all the suggestions of the functions available in this particular data type. You don't need to go always to W3 schools and then see what are all the applicable methods. Again, method or function is just like a piece of code which is already written in the backend. You will just call the name here. It will only do that logic for you without you writing it from the scratch. That's what I refer to method or function. Okay. So now these are all the possible methods that are possible with respect to list. Let's say if I say append, I can append another number. Let's say 6 and run this. So I just appended, I'll comment this. I just appended 6. If I want to see the output, let me store back in my variable after appending value and then print my updated A. This is, let's do this and this. Let's not even store that. So you see that 6 got appended to the existing list of 5. All right, so that is how the methods of list work. So moving on, we also have, so key takeaway from this data type is list is allowing you indexing, list is allowing you slicing, list is allowing you to modify anything. You can add a number, you can delete a number, you can modify any existing replacing numbers. All that is possible with respect to list. If I see a tuple, The representation for tuple is with common brackets. The difference from list to immediate difference from list to tuple is the bracket. You can do this right now and check the data type of it. It will be showing you as a tuple. Okay, so let us now see all the possibilities of all the methods that are possible with respect to tuple. So I use control plus space bar after putting type, after putting dot. It is only showing me two inputs, I mean two functions. It means there are not many operations you can do with respect to tuple in this case, right? It means there are limited operations you can only do on tuple. The core difference that is going to be from list to tuple is the list is in mutable, tuple is immutable. I'm using a word called mutable, which means all that data types that are allowing you to replace items and to modify it, to add or to delete or the slicing concept. If all of these are possible, you can consider it as mutable. It means it will allow you to make changes on top of it. But when it comes to tuple, you cannot make any of those modifications on top of tuple. It is like a permanent list. Once you create it, that will be end of it. Okay, if you want that to be changed, if you want a sequence of elements to be modified, that is where you use list. If you don't want, if you want it as a permanent, nobody should change it, go for tuple. So that is how the difference of uh, tuple to list goes on, but rest all will remain same. But I want you guys to go and try all the operations that we did on list on top of tuple as well, so that I am leaving it on you. So that is how the sequence type look like. And coming back, the reason for this being sequence is there is a sequence in terms of elements, right? 0, 1, 2, 3. So there is a sequence with respect to elements or items that it has. That is exactly why it is called as sequence. String, list, tuple are sequence types. This is exactly why this category is called sequence. But in this case, numeric may integer or float or complex, there is no such thing called sequence. So other things that we have to discuss is Boolean, set, and dictionary. So let's go for an example of Boolean. I think it's straightforward. You already know, well aware of what is Boolean mean. It's capital T, guys, and then check type of it. It will be given as a true condition. Simultaneously, if you want false, so true or false are the current Boolean data types. That I think you are already aware of it. Another thing is set. So what about set? The representation to do set is, I think we already have this. Let me do this. So you can represent a set with flower brackets. So list is square brackets, tuple is common bracket, and the set is this. Let us see the type of it again, obviously. And it's definitely a set as well. And let us also see what are all the possibilities that we can let me close this. If you want to close the errors, guys, by mistakenly if you had done something, you can click on this. Come here, I'm doing control plus. So these are all the possibilities you can do on the set. Again, guys, this set is almost all same as your mathematical set. So all the union operations, difference operations, intersection, and all the delta operations, all those are just as it is here. It's just that you have to use that function on top of it. All right. So yeah, clear is to clear all the elements of set. Add is to add element. Copy to copy the entire set. Difference is a minus b in terms of set, mathematical set. So union intersection, I don't think I should waste time in explaining what is union and what is intersection. I'm very sure you're already aware of it, but I would encourage you guys to go and apply any function and apply any operation that you want to do on top of the set. All right. So the difference again, what is very special with respect to set is, let us try doing something on list like this. 1, 2, 3, 4 is what we had seen, but let us also check duplicates like this. For a time being, I'll comment this and I'll see it. So this is obviously a list, right? So now let me make it as a tuple. When I made list, it worked. When I made a tuple, still worked. But when I make it as a set, let us see. What do you observe in this? you got all the duplicates removed. So that is going to be your core difference from other data types. So set will not allow duplicates. Obviously, we are all aware of that in the mathematical way, right? So that's the difference. And dictionary. So the way to represent a dictionary again is the same curly brackets, but dictionary consists of key value pairs. Syntax is like this: key and a value. So, for example, let's say you can consider it as an attendance register. One is, let's say, Mr. Akhil. I know that I'm very selfish that I'm using only my name as an example, but still fine. Nobody can question me right now. So, let's say Teja, and he can be, let's say, somebody. So, let me check what is A. This is how it looks like, and type of A will be, again, what are the advantages? Usually, we consider dictionary as object in other programming languages, which is again JSON in JavaScript also. There are obviously minute differences until unless you have complete knowledge of what this dictionary is capable of doing and other things. A little bit maturity needed, to understand the differences. Right now, I don't think it's a correct situation to tell you the differences, but whenever this dictionary or whenever see these formats, these are records where this is a data type. It will make you to access data very fast compared to other data types. See, in this case, when we introduced sequence types, if I want to call a specific element, I had to remember the indexing concept, and I have to give the position of the character or element that I want to access. So when I know the index number or the position, then only I can access a specific element. But in this case, we don't need to do that. You just mention the key of the record. In this case, keys are going to be 1, 2, and 3. So 1, 2, and 3 are nothing but the keys. Akhil, Teja, Ravi are the values. I don't want the indexing concept here to access any element here. Element mean here again. Values are nothing but elements itself. Akhil, Teja, or Ravi. I don't remember indexing concept. There might be 100 number of students. All that I need to tell here is just access the key that you allocated for that guy. In this case, if I access 3, it will tell me value for that guy. So in this case, I'm using type. Sorry for that. Let me come out of it. A of 3. This is the revenue. So it need not to go incremental basis from first to last in any basis. So you can keep this 3 here also. You can keep 2 here also. There is no particular order here. Run this. Whatever is a value for that 3, it will be giving you that. So when it comes to real time in full stack web development basis, you will be having this kind of advantages. Okay, but yeah, for your observation, for your understanding, this is how the dictionary looks like. All right. So now I think we'll take more examples usage of all these data types with conditions concept, so that it will be much more understanding for you. So now let me just take a heading for conditions. This is where we start our conditions concept, if else and all those. It's a again a most famous thing in programming, right? Let me take my Jamboard again. So now let us try to understand a little bit of evolution of programming. So my 60 seconds or 30 seconds a time for you guys is, if you are the creator of any Python, not Python, if you are the creator of any programming, how do you think you would like programming to do the task for you? Imagine you are the creator of the programming guy. You want to create your own programming language. What are the things that you want to take care when you want to create a language? Just for 10 seconds at least, I will tell my answer in that way. What are the things that you would like to have to the programming language to solve in terms of concepts? Okay, easy to use. That is obviously the very first thing. I'm sure by this time you'll understand, you realize that Python is actually very easy to use and to learn. So yeah. Okay, if I'm being the creator of any programming language, in my career, of course, I'm also I established my own compiler, executable compiler, and I'm trying to create one programming language altogether. But that's for my futuristic purpose. Right now, if I'm the creator of it, let's imagine this is a program file. If I write 10 files or 10 lines, what happens with this is it will definitely go line by line as per my interpreter logic, right? Let's say there are 10, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 6 lines are there, which consists of 6 tasks. So if you execute this particular file, obviously it will go through each and every line and it will give you an output, right? But what if there is a situation where we'll assume the same 6 lines, but I want to execute this specific line only when a certain situation occurs. Not in all the cases, not in all the scenarios, but only based on one situation occurrence. It means they are dependent on one action to another action, or dependent on one task to another task. That is exactly where the conditions concept come. You don't need to execute all the tasks, all the operations that you have in the entire programming uh, file. You can decide which line to action, which line to execute when. It means there is a need of conditions where you can let the program know you execute this specific line only based on certain conditions met or certain scenarios. So that is exactly where we come to concepts. There are if conditions, there is if else condition, there is if else condition in Python, else if in other languages, it is elif in Python, guys. That might be the comparison of other programming language. If you mix and match everything, that is going to be nested combination. Okay. Speaking about if there is only one condition that you want to cross check, then only you can decide a particular line to execute. That is only one if condition. This is enough. What if there are two different tasks? If something happens, then only you do this. Else you go for this is like a backup. For example, this block, I call it a block. This block should be executed, which consists of multiple lines of code. You execute this specific code only if a particular condition is met, only if this is true. This is exactly where I'm bringing that boolean concept. If this condition or expression, whatever you write in this common brackets, is true and met, then only you execute all these lines. If not, if this is failing, then you have a backup, which is under else you go and execute these specific lines. So it's like either or, either execute this or you go for this. This is exactly how if else is used. Now there is little more advancement in this. Maybe you two conditions are not enough, you want multiple conditions. That is where if else if comes. Let's take an example again. If it is true, go for these lines. Elif, it means if this is false, then only you go to next one, execute these many number of lines. If this is also false, then you go for a backup, which is a rest all, nothing, none of the above cases. You can go to the this execution. All right. Let me give a real time example. If you have a chocolate, eat it. Or if you have a biscuit, eat it. Or if you don't have anything, just sit quiet. It's just like that. Okay. Again, another advancement is needed. What if there are multiple conditions, not just one or two or three? You can use any number of elifs as you wish, just like this. If execution elif, elif, elif. So you can have n number of elifs, and last way you can keep a backup as else. And it's not mandatory to use else. It's up to you if you want to put rest all cases. So this is how the entire things look like. Nested is nothing but combination of multiple conditions inside another condition. It's going to be like this: if, or else. So based on the situation and condition, the position matters. So I think all of this will make sense once we take an example. So let me take a syntax. If is a keyword. If you remember, I said something called keyword, which is a reserved word, also called as reserved word. If you write if, it means it'll understand that there is a syntax there is a certain task that it will have to do, and whenever you use this combination of I and F character. Okay, so yeah, let's take if. Let me write true. I'm myself declaring the condition is true. Okay, please use colon. You can give spaces as many you wish. That doesn't change anything, but you must give a single space minimum after if. If true, colon is our syntax for if condition. Then as soon as you press enter, immediately you can see that it is giving you two spaces difference, which is called as indentation. This is exactly why I said do not write as per your wish in Python, because these spaces are meaning something in few concepts, and this is one of such concepts. So if condition with this space means if this condition satisfies or if the condition is true. In my case, I'm just writing true, or in generically in real time you can write conditions or expressions there using operators. We will write an example soon, but right now if this is true, you go inside and print whatever you wish. Let's say I1. In my case I said it's true, so it has to print I1. Let us run this. Say it's I1. If I make it false, instead of true, if I make it false, it's gonna be not gonna be printing it. All right, so I think you already know what is this true false thing. I'll not waste my time. Let's take an example. Let's say if it's an even number, you print it, or if it's an odd number, don't print it. So how do we calculate even number or odd number in mathematical way usually? Can I expect any answers? Anybody can reply it. How do we decide a number is an even or any number is an odd number? Can anybody give me a response? I'll wait for 10 seconds. How do you decide a number is an even or an odd? Reminder. Okay, great. So whenever a reminder is 0 and reminder is 1, you divide it with 2, right? So let's say I would like to, if this is a number that I have, I would like to print only even numbers out of these things. So if when I give a number, let's say I will give a number under variable of a. So I can give any number under a. Let me now give 4. Now, if a is divided by 2, and when you divide this number with 2, when it gives you completely 0, it means it's an even number, right? So if you go here, so if I take 4, if I divide it, the remainder is going to be 0. So for any even number, the remainder is 0. So what operator do you think I have to apply here if I'm concentrating on remainder? We have these things: division, floor division, and percentile. If you remember, this will remember decimal values, which is after dividing, you will get the quotient output. This is floor division, which will round it off to previous one or next one. The remainder is going to be for the modulo operator. So I'm going to make use of this operator and apply on the variable. Whenever I apply this operator, if the output is 0, it means it's an even number. All right. So let me go and check it. If a in this case is 4, when I apply 2 on top of 2, why 2? Because I'm speaking about even or odd. I'm using common brackets here. If the output is equal to 0, I should not do single equal to, guys. If I do this, it will imagine that I am storing value 0 in so and so. So this comes under variable definition. Please do not make this mistake. You will do it in future sometimes. Please avoid it. When you want to compare value of this, remember we had comparison operator double equal to. So we will go for this inside this, and we'll say it's an even number only if a number is completely divided by 2. When do we write it's completely divided? When the remainder is 0. So let's check this. It's even. So let me give 5 because 4 is completely divided by 2. If I give 5, see, no output because it's not even. In these cases, I will write else. It means if this condition is false, then it goes to else. Print odd. So let's run this. Odd. So this white spacing automatically I got it whenever I pressed enter, guys. Okay. So this is even, this is how you do with conditions. What if there are multiple things? Let's say this time I want to check it's a positive number or a negative number or it's a zero. So now there are three cases that I have to deal. How do you identify a number is a positive or negative or zero? Can anybody tell it? I'll give 10 seconds again. When is a number positive? When is a number negative? Obviously, the sign matters, but mathematically, it's very straightforward that a number is, in my case, let's take A as the input that I would like to give. Now, I can either give an input like this, a new concept, guys, or if I want to type when I'm running it, there is a function called input function. You can use this function in this way. You can write a string inside this. Please give me a number. This will give ask request for you to answer. This will give you a box to allow you to type a number. So in this case, I gave an input function and I'll write the logic. If the given input is greater than zero, then it is a good practice if you write common brackets. Then you need to print it's a positive. In this case, I want to deal with zero and also negative. So there are three cases. I'll not go for else right away. I'll go for elif. If elif is less than zero, then print negative. Okay. So now else, if it is not positive, if it is not negative, then I would like to rightly write as zero. So somebody is raising the hand. What is the doubts? Whoever raised the hand can unmute and speak if you have something to say. Okay, seems like a mistake. Now let's see. One more thing that we have to keep in mind is whenever I give input function, by default it accepts string as a data type, but I'm giving a number, right? So it has to be an integer data type. So this is where I'll make use of the type conversion. The input that I'm going to give should be converted to integer. That is where I'll apply this function called int. Whenever I apply a function, remember you have to open a common bracket and close it. So all of this inside input function will be an input to int function. Now let us cross check. When I run this, it will give me a nice box. Please give me a number. Let's say positive 6. Press enter. See, it's a positive. Let me give a negative number. Let's say -7. Enter. It's a negative number. Again run it. Let's say a 0. Run it. It says it's a 0. So this is exactly how you can write your expression logic correctly in the conditions. If it is true, it goes inside. If it is false, it will go for alternative conditions if they are existing. If they don't exist, it will go to the else conditions and then here. Okay, so this is how if, elif and else works. And if the combination of all of this will become nested combination also. All right, so I think maybe if possible, I can share you a few questions for your exercise purpose so that you guys can work more on these conditions and go ahead. Okay, so I'll move on to the next concept, loops. Even loops consist of conditions, so no problem. So now in Python, there are two types of loops. You have for loop and you have while loop. So in this case, again, why loops? Why do you think we need conditions was already answered. Why do you think we need iterations or loops? What if there is a specific task that I want to repeat as n number of times? So in this case, you just confirmed if you need this execution or not, and you did it. But what if I want to repeat this specific line 8 number of times or n number of times? You don't need to repeat those steps again and again, or you don't need to copy paste that again and again, right? So iterations will solve that automation of steps, which you don't need to write the code again and again and again. Just write it once and tell it how many times it has to execute. It will do that work for you, which is avoiding you to do a lot of number of lines. So this is exactly why Python can be small and short, and the syntax is very powerful. All right, so let me now give an example with for loop, uh, which means I want to type currently numbers from 1 to 10. Okay, so a little bit of math included. I would like to start my numbering from 1, should add plus 1 plus 1 plus 1 all the time, and should go till 10, right? So let me take a simple for loop for I in range. Range is one of the types that we have, which will allow you to write from where to where you want to go. Okay, so range is one type of the function which is considered under data types itself. So now what I'm letting you know is this is again same as your indexing concept, start or stop or step indexing in the data types. You should first let it know when to start and then when to stop. In my case, let me start from 1 till 10. As I said, end value is always excluded, make it 11. Okay, step value is by default 1, so I don't need to mention it. So what is the syntax? For loop is a loop which will allow you to do multiple times. This is a membership operator. In is a membership operator. If you want an example for it, let's say I have a list of numbers like this. I want to cross check whether 3 is inside this list or not. So I can write 3 in A. If it is there, it says true. If it is not there, it says false. Let's confirm it. It's 2. If it is not there means I can write 3 not in A. But it is there. 3 is there in the list. But we are writing it's not there. So let's see. It's false, right? If I simultaneously write 5 not in A, it's obviously 2, right? It's not there. That's why it's 2. So is in is nothing but a membership operator, basic symbol operator which is there in the Python. So I am making use of that operator for the for loop. So there's nothing new in this. This is a function which will allow you to when to start and when to stop. I'm going in this and I'm saying print I value. So now your question is what is this I? It can be I, it can be J, it can be K, it can be your name also. It can be anything, but this position after 4 means you are going to use that as a variable for each iteration. Okay. For example, my question says to print 1 to 10. You need to print 1 first and then move on to 2 and then move on to 3. So, to print 1, I'll allocate a variable for it, which is in my case I. After I printed 1, I have to add just plus 1 for it to make it 2. So after I add it, it will become 2. After I add plus 1 again, it will become 3. So who is going to store those numbers, 1 or 2 or 3? That is exactly where we need a storage. That is exactly nothing but a variable. Of course, this is exactly why we need variables, right? It has to keep on varying from one iteration to another iteration. In my case, yeah, I printed I. Let's run this. See, you see here, it prints from 1 to 10. So what is the internal understanding of it? You first start with a number called 1. So internally what happens is I becomes 1. Okay, after printing I value as 1, it will go back to check this condition. In my case, I in range of 1 comma 11 is a condition. Just like how you have a condition to if, for also has an expression here. What I'm checking is when I added plus 1 to the 1, it became 2. Is 2 is still going to be in the range of 1 comma 11? It means you are asking a question, is number 2 is going to fall under the range of 1 comma 11? Yes, it is going to fall. That is exactly why it goes inside again. It prints 2. After printing 2, automatically for loop will take care of incrementing plus 1. By default, for loop will take care of adding plus 1 by default. Okay. So what happens in this case? 2 becomes 3. Again, 3 will be cross-checked. Is 3 in the range of 1 comma 11? Yes. So it prints 3. Plus 1 by default by for loop is 4 is going to be in the range of 11. Yes, go inside, print 4 and then checks 4 plus 1 5. So 5 is going to be in this range. Yes, go inside and then prints like that till it reaches 10. After it reaches 10, it will go inside, it prints. After 10 it becomes 11, right? So is 11 in the range of 1 comma 11? No. Why am I saying no? Because I said that start value or end value always gets excluded. So 11 is not going to be in the range of 1 comma 11 and it will not go inside and it will stop the executing of this particular snippet. That is exactly why it is stopping at 10. So now you can write any number of logics on top of this. For example, if the question is like, can you print only even numbers from 1 to 10? Yo, yeah, why not? So what I'll do simply is, after this, you do remember that under our slicing concept and indexing concept, there is a step indexing also, right? If I mention it as 2, what happens? It starts from 1 till 11. After starting 1, it will add plus 2, which will become 3. Is 3 in the range? Yes. So after printing 3, it will again go for 3 plus 2, 5. Is it in the range? Yes. After 5, it will add 2 again, 7. Is it in the range? Yes. Let's see. So 1, 3, 5, 7, 9 are going to be your answers. All right. So this is how we execute any logic on top of for loop here. That is with respect to for loop. And why are we only doing with numbers? Can we also apply other data types? Yes. So now you guys can take freedom of applying any data type on top of this. So for I can be my variable. It can be your own wish. It can be anything. I is just a normal, simple nomenclature that industry uses it, but it's up to you. Now I'll say for I in, let me give a list here directly. Let's say A, K, H. So this is my list here, and I would like to print one character at a time. So I'll just write print. Let's say I right now. Let us see what do we get in this case. Yes, Manisha, you have an issue. Any doubts? Manisha raised a hand. Do you have anything to ask? You can ask. You can unmute. Okay. All right. No problem. I'll consider it as nothing. So right now I want to access one character at a time on type of this list. So right now when I run this, you will get A K H I L. So how is it? Why is it giving me in different lines? First iteration, it went to for first character. Then for loop is taking care of incrementing one index to another index. Okay, then it becomes K in second iteration, and then it becomes H in another iteration, it becomes I in another iteration, L becomes in another iteration. This is how the loop or any data type works. Okay, you can change any data type on top of this, it will still work, guys. Okay, so that is on for loop. Simultaneous to this, we also have while loop, just like a for loop. The difference is that you're going to see is for loop is doing a lot of automation for you, just like plus one incrementing stuff. But when it comes to while loop, you have to take care of that customized incrementation from one iteration to another iteration. So what I mean to say is the same question, if I have to print 1 to 10 using while loop, first I need to let my program know where should I start. So I'm taking a variable, same again, I should start from 1. Okay, then I'm starting my loop while I'm giving a condition or a scenario where as much as my number is staying less than 11, you can print those numbers. If it is going beyond 11, you can stop it, or the condition for the while loop becomes false. So let me put that in bracket here. You started with 1 and go up to 11. This is a mathematical expression that you have to. All of your talent is going to rely on how good you are going to write these conditions. Right now, for teaching purpose and for you being the beginners, for a few people being the beginners, I'm taking very simple examples to understand the syntax and format of it, how that works. But in real time, if you want to be very good programmer and real good understanding of this, what you should do is you have to practice as many code snippets and problem statements possible to make your knowledge better in terms of writing these expressions. So better you are good at writing these expressions, the better answers you are going to get. All right, so in my problem statement, I am just printing 1 to 10. I start at 1, go till 11. As soon as you press enter, immediate indentation will happen. So now what I'm trying to do is print the number, the current iteration first. After printing, I have to take care of incrementing value as well. So what I'll write is I plus equal to 1. And then That's it. So let us see what do we get with this 1 to 10. So let us try to understand what actually is happening in this. I will just take a snippet here. So to understand what is actually happening is, so it's like this. You start at number 1 and you go to next line. So what is this condition is going to do? Is it 1 less than 11? Yes. It is. If it is yes, then only you go to this block. So after you go this, prints I. What is your current I value? It's 1. So it prints 1. After that, I value gets incremented as 2. So it goes after execution of these particular two lines, it will come back to this condition again. So right now my I value is 2. Is 2 less than 11? Yes. It go inside again. Whatever is the current I value, currently it is 2. So it will print 2. And then it increments plus 1, which is 3. And then it comes back and checks the condition. Is 3 less than 11? Yes. Go in, print 3, increment to 4. And is 4 less than 11? Yes. Print 4, add it as 5. Is 5 less than 11? Yes. Add it to 6. Like that, by the time you reach to 10, is 10 less than 11? Yes. Print 10, make that as 11. Is 11 less than 11? No. When it is no, it stops allowing you going inside this block. So it means you will stop at 10. This kind of incrementation we have to manually take care in while loop, but it is not necessary when it comes to for loop. So which loop you want to choose is up to you completely. But once you practice all these exercises and come to conclusions, the core difference between for loop and while loop is, if you know how many number of iterations you need to take, go for loop. If you don't know how many iterations it is going to take, you have to go to while loop. It means if you know 100 iterations, give that number to the for loop. If you don't know 100 iteration, but you have a condition to satisfy, then go for while loop. Let me give you a simple real-time example. You have 100 chocolates, you give to 100 students in the class. What you will say is, please share these 100 chocolates to the 100 students. That is the only thing that you will tell to the student. He will directly go there and he'll keep on distributing one chocolate for one student till 100 chocolates are done. That is the for loop. What happens with while loop is, he will not tell that there are 100 chocolates in his box. He will just tell, please go and give these chocolates till the box is empty. So it means now you know the condition here is box becoming empty. So he will keep on distributing chocolate one at a time. By the time all chocolates are done, he'll be done. So the situation here is, if you know 100 iterations, go for loop. If you don't know 100 specifically, but you have a scenario to comfort, which is to satisfy, so go for while loop. That is exactly where it. All right. Now that's how the while loop works. And yeah, if any loop enters into infinity number of times, how to terminate? Thanks for asking. Let me take an example. Let me take this example itself. So in my case, guys, what if I write my condition? Let's say if I less than minus 5. So concentrate carefully here. I am starting my journey at 1, but my condition says it has to be less than minus 5. Is there a way that my condition satisfies even from the first step itself? No, right? But let us see. Will it even go inside this loop right now? Let us cross check. See, it did not even allow you to go inside to even give you an output, because my condition initial itself is getting wrong. So what if my situation is, let's say like this, minus 6, and let's run this. Let's make it minus. So this is what an example of infinite loop. So what is actually is happening here is, I think negative numbers is making you getting confused. Let me use a positive number itself. Let's say something like this. Okay, now I entered an infinite loop, right? So either you click on this button itself in Google Colab, it will stop executing it. Okay, just click on this button, it will stop that infinite loop. And if you have an output like this, click on clear output. Okay, so what is problem with this logic? I am starting from 2 and I'm decrementing each time. It means 2 minus 1 minus 1 minus 1 minus 1. It is There is a never end point for this. Why is there is no end point? Because my logic says it just has to be less than 3. Is there a possibility of my number getting beyond 3 with this condition, with this logic? No, right? It will never become beyond 3 because I'm going in a reverse direction. My 3 is in my right side and the 2 is getting decremented. I will never reach to 3 because I'm going in other direction. This is nothing but an example for infinite loop, but if you are having these kind of issues, just click on that button again. So right now I'm just showing you again. Right now this is an infinite loop. Click on it, it will stop. That's it. So that's with the loop, guys. So moving on, the next concept of functions. What are functions? So what is a function? Now it comes a little more advancement. You know how a condition works and how the loops work when it comes to iterating a lot of steps. A function is just like a container. In my case, you had these many logics for if conditions and you had a loop condition also, right? Now, what if there is a situation I want to do all these 3 tasks at a time? Let's say I have an if else condition and a loop, which can be a combination of for loop and a while loop also. And all of this combination of logics will give me a solution to one particular problem statement. Okay, let's say the problem statement is building a bike specifications, let's say. If I execute this particular program, it will give me output for bike specifications, right? But if I want to apply the same logic on some other bike, okay, there is a bit of abstraction there. What I have to do is I cannot rewrite all of these code snippets again and again and again whenever I want to use this particular bike code, right? It means I don't want to rewrite my code and I just want to use these logics again, right? So there you see the code reusability without actually writing the code again and again, right? So what I will do is I will wrap all these logics in one name, which is nothing but my function name. See, the name is function. In a simple English way, it is nothing but you giving a name for combination of all these logics. Whenever you want these logics to happen, you just call the name. All right. So it's just like a container of logics. If you, whenever you want to use it, you open it. It's like you have a juice bottle or a bottle of anything. Whenever you want to drink it, you just open it and then drink it based on the content, content that the bottle has, right? So it's as same as this. So in my example, let's take a code example. In Python, def is a word that you have to use to write a function, which stands for define. And you can give a name for this. Let's say test1 is my function name. Colon is mandatory. And then come here and then write let's say print is my logic. Okay. And let's, whenever this is a function, you have to give parenthesis like this. Okay. This parenthesis is nothing but a function. In this case, you have to give, let me give a syntax, def function name. Here you can give parameters and task. So this is the syntax. It means like a general syntax. In my case, test1 is the function name, and parameters right now, I don't need anything. Parameters are nothing but, let's say you want to hi Akhil, let's say hi Akhil. Right now it has it right now. Okay, this is my function. Whenever I wish to say hi to Akhil, I will just call this function. It will print hi Akhil. So how do we print a function? When I run this function, it shows nothing right now, right? But if I want to open up this function, I'll just call the function again and call it. So calling a function is nothing but just writing the function name again and then use a parenthesis syntax, run it. See, you get hi Akhil. So what is the benefit or advantage of this concept is, in my case, I'm just using one line for your example. This can be 100 lines or 1000 lines, doesn't matter. If you want to redo this task again and again, I don't need to write this function and line again and again. What I will do is I'll take another test cell and then I'll just call the test one guy again. So you run this, it will print hi Akhil again. So did I write these two lines again? No. All that I'm doing is just call this guy again. So you writing one time will be helpful for the reusability of the code. This is exactly what function concept is solving for you. All right. So now there comes a situation. I just don't want to say hi to Akhil itself. I want to say hi to somebody else. It means there is a variable concept involved. So whenever you call, only that guy should be said hi. What I mean to say is, I'll copy paste this particular function and I'll say, please say hi to the variable A. Do I have variable A in this line? No. So I'll make this. I am saying hi to A. So whatever value input that I give under this position should be same passed inside this function, right? So now when I run this, my function is defined. But if I have to give an input to this, I'll just say test one and I have to specify who is the input in this case. So let me call and say hi to, let's say, Hari. Okay, so this position is nothing but argument, guys. There are just terminologies for this, nothing complex. If you are giving an input when you're calling the function, it means this is an argument. This is a parameter. This is an argument, guys. Okay, so now when you call this argument under the test one function, it will go and replace A as Hari wherever there is A inside this function. You can have n number of print statements. It will replace n number of times. Let's run this function again and run this. You will see hi Hari, hi Hari, hi Hari, like this. You can also give multiple inputs like this, and all that you have to do is just replace them in the code also. Let's say here. Now it is expecting three parameter inputs. It means three arguments must be given. So what I will do is I will also call Teja and let's say. So wherever there is one A, it has to replace. What does it say? Let's run this. Yeah. So what is the understanding here? Wherever there is Hari, it will replace A. Wherever there is B, it will replace it with Teja. Wherever there is C, it will replace it with Manju. So what is it? What is the takeaway from this is the position matters. Based on the position, it will take that variable in this, and then it will replace as it is the value that you gave based on the position. All right, so this is how the function works. All right, so this is just an example of function. This is called user defined function because I am writing my own function. If Python itself gives you a function, that becomes built-in function. So the types of functions are in this case user defined and predefined. Okay, so recursions are also there. It will be a little more advanced. I don't think you will be needing it right now. All right, so that is how the functions work. Moving on, we can discuss what else we left. Just a minute. Um, control structures. Yeah, list comprehensions are there, and file operations. List comprehensions is a very famous concept in Python programming, which is the shortcut way of doing iteration concepts, which are for loop and while loop, based on a data type. For example, let me give you an example from my built-in. Just a second. So now, if I ask you, when I asked you to write print elements from 1 to 10. How was the loop looking like for I in range of 1 comma 11, and then you are printing I in it, right? This is how you printed from 1 to 10. In the same way, I don't want output to be looking like this, but I want all of these outputs as elements of my list. It means all these inputs which are 1 to 10, all of these has to go as a, if any loop is, yeah, it has to go as a list element. So I am expecting output like this, like this. So what happens, how do I put these elements in one list is, multiple ways of doing it is, imagine you define a variable called a, which is an empty list right now. So for each iteration output, I would like to push it, put it in this list. Okay, so that is exactly where I will use a dot append of I. It means every iteration there will be one output for I in the loops, right? So each time one element gets appended to this list. Finally, when I print A after all this loop execution, it means here, if I print A, it should have output like this. Let's see. See, so what did we just do? We defined an empty list and then we tried feeding one element at a time, one element at a time. So if you want to see that happening, you can write print A here and see how it goes step by step. See, first iteration, it was empty. Next, it appended 1, then 2, then 3, then 4, then 5 till it's 10. After it's 10, it stopped executing and it gave you the final output. So these are the things that you need to write in Python to get these kind of outputs. In order to make shortcuts for this, you have list comprehension concept. This is a very good savior when it comes to electrical concepts also. What you can do is just a syntax. It means the way you write becomes changing, but concept remains same. I for I in range of 1 comma 11. What I just did is I copied the same line and pasted it here inside a bracket because it's a list, and I is a each iterative variable. So once I run this, it will give me same example. Okay, so there will be situations where you don't want to write these many lines in Python, but instead you can just write this line. This is the advantage of using Python. You can either follow this or you can either follow this. It's totally up to you. The lesser the syntax, the easier that you can learn, right? But what I suggest you is please understand the logic behind this whenever you're writing. Then it becomes easy for you to adopt and apply it in the real times. So this is just an example for list comprehension. All right. I think the more that you will be playing is with file operations and exception handling. So let me discuss more on file operations. It means how do we deal with files using Python, right? So whenever it comes to file operations, as you remember, my entire IDE is nothing but a physical system or a file system, right? It means it's just like another laptop deployed in cloud, and you're using their process and their RAM. If you can see it here, you can see here. This is how our usages of resources are happening here. All right. So let me not deviate from this right now. If you can see these options, please click on this folder. You will see just like a file system in your laptop. Okay, this is a sample data which Google itself will give you guys to play with the files. If you want to open and see, you can just click on the drop down. It will show you these default test files for you. Again, this is usually Google Colab is used by data engineers and data scientists, right? So they just give a random test.csv as well. So don't worry, it will be there for you also. So now my question is, what if I want to play with a notepad or some other file using Google Colab, right? So in such situations, what I will do is, let me create a file, new file here itself. Let's say here, if you can click here, it will upload your own file. But let me now show you what are all the contents that you have. I was basically, when I clicked this location, I was basically in the content, which was in sample data. Okay, if you come back again, it will show you the list of directory. This is nothing but your C drive. Whenever you purchase a new laptop, you get a C drive, right? So this is the C drive of your particular Google Colab. I don't want you to click on this and then mess up with these things. I don't suggest you to go and modify anything in the C drive. Rather, please come into your own content itself. Please click on three dots of content. When you click here, it will create a file or folder within the directory of content. Okay, within the folder of content. Click here, click on a new file. It will create a new file within the directory of content. Okay, so sample data folder is a sibling of the file that I'm going to create. Now let me write, let's say 1.txt, which means I am creating a file, notepad file, which is a text file as 1.txt. So let me save it, press enter. So yeah, it created 1.txt. Now I want to put some content in this 1.txt. Let's double click on it. So you will get a sample editor like this within the Google Colab itself. Okay, which is 1.txt in my case. You can put some content here. Let's say, hi there, how are you? Okay, so this is my content inside my file. In your case also, you can try on this and see if it is reflecting or not. So now that you put some content, let me close this. By default, Google itself will save you guys. You don't need to press Control S or something. Even for Google Colab, you don't need to press anywhere Control S. Each and every second it will be saved for you. So don't worry about saving files all at all. So what I will show you right now is how to open a file with Python program and how to do some modifications. Now that I have 1.txt, if I double click, this is a GUI, graphical interface of Google Colab. But how do we do this with Python? This is exactly where we will have syntax with and then syntax. There are two ways of doing it. One is without with and with. So what I am going to do is with open. You have to give the directory or the path of the file that you want to open there. So in my case, what is the file that I have? 1.txt. If you can go to that file and see these three dots, click there, you will get a copy path thing. So if you copy that path, I'm repeating it again. The file you already created was 1.txt. Click there, click on copy path. You paste that copy path inside an inverted commas, which is like a string. Paste it here. And what you need to tell it is you have to open this particular file, which is in this directory, with a variable called f. It can be any variable name. I am just using f in my case, colon, press enter, it comes out of it. Let me finish this syntax, then I'll go quick through for you guys what exactly is happening inside this. So now I opened my file and then I want to do something. So whenever there is a file operation, what are the general things that we'll be doing, guys? So whenever there is a file operation, what are the things that we'll be doing on top of a file? One is obviously read the file, just to read, write the file, and another is to execute the file. These are the basic operations on any file that we will be able to do it, right? When should we go for a while loop and when should we go for a for loop? I just told that, right? So whenever there is a condition that you need to satisfy, it means till you satisfy a condition, then you go for a while loop. If you're not sure when it is going to terminate, you just know that it will take these many iterations, then you go for loop. As I gave an example, somebody asked in the chat, so I'm answering this, guys. Let's say I said no. If you know that it is going to take 100 iterations, you go for loop. But you don't know how many iterations it is going to take, but you know that it will go, your iterations must stop at a termination. It means you know when to stop. Then you go for while loop. Okay, so it's just like I give you 100 chocolates, go and distribute for 100 people. Or I give you just a chocolate box. I will not tell you there are 100 chocolates, but keep on distributing till you finish off the box. So that is the difference between for loop and a while loop. In times of code, as I said, uh, till a number is satisfied in a condition, you go for while loop. Or if you just say do for 100 iterations, you go for loop. Okay, I think when I share you exercise files, at least you will be understanding the key difference. Okay, let me not deviate from the exact concept. I am discussing about file operations. So this consists of read, write, and execute. So the syntax for read and write and execute are going to be like this. Right now, I just opened it. Again, what is this open is? Whenever you are doing some operations with the file, first you need to open the file, first step, then do any of these operation. I'll just write as an operation. You can either write or read or execute. First you need to open the file, do that operation, then you need to close the file. So these are the generic steps when it comes to file operations, right? So what you have to do it here is, my very first step was to open the file, and the next step is to do the task, right? So it's up to me. Let me now just say print, let me just write f dot read. Why f only? Because I saved after opening the file which is in this directory, got saved under variable called f. So f dot read, and then let's run this. Let me print it. I'll show you what do I have in this. So what am I doing it here, guys? This is the editor of my text pad. This is the content that I have in one.txt. And what I'm doing is I'm reading the content of one.txt with Python syntax here. So read is a function. Open is also another function which will take a directory. And f is just a variable that I give. You can give your own things. Read is a function which will read the content of the file. Okay. So in this case, with what is the advantage of using this syntax is, it will by default close the file once it is done with this execution. It means open the file, do this process, then by default automatically once this execution is done, it will only close the file as per our generic steps of this. So open we did, operation we did, automatically it will be closed. There is another syntax in file operation where you have to manually take care of closing it, which is not going to be helpful for you. But please learn this syntax. It is very fast and easier for you. Okay. So yeah, now reading is fine, sir. It's great. What if I only want to read 10 characters? You just write 10 inside the read. It will give you only 10 characters of. If you want to confirm, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So it's just like you are going to read only 10 characters out of it. Okay, so that is with read. What are other operations that you can do here is write. So you can put some content inside this text pad with the function write. For that, there is one more extra parameter that you have to use, which is w here. Okay, so w is a parameter which will tell the function, which will tell the open function that please open this file and write as per the instructions that is given here. So now what I'm going to do here is I will also write hello there. So let me run this. Okay, I have to put this in string. I put this in string. Run it. Yes, I wrote it. So what I just did is I changed the content of hi there, how are you to hello there. But did it reflect here right now? It did not, because I have to refresh it. Okay, let me now double click on one.txt and read it. Am I writing it in one.txt? Yes. Let us. Sorry, is anybody speaking? Let me now. I just wrote it. Let me now read it. So print read uh, this file. I should not print this. just so I'm taking a new file altogether, which is 2.txt. So what I'm doing in this case is, please open another file called 2.txt and put this content. After putting the content, please read that content. So let me try doing this. And okay, because I enabled it as write, I'm not supposed to read it here. So let me avoid this. Let me run this again. I just created a file called 2.txt and put this content. So let us confirm it. Let us refresh this. There is an option to refresh here. So refresh this. It immediately got a file called 2.txt. Double click on it. You got the content called hello there. Okay. So you had 1.txt with something else like this and 2.txt as something else like this. Okay. So if you want, let's say, another example, let me copy paste this. Imagine there are n number of lines like this. So there are any number of lines. I want to see all of these lines in in a list format. You can just write uh, f dot read lines, and I am reading the content. So I should not open the file with w. It can be read. Even if you don't write it, it's still same as our first example. So here I did not write R because it's by default R. If I want to do that R, you can write that R and you can try running this content. And I am supposed to print. Please print whenever it is reading. This might be useful for your next sessions. So what you observe here is, let me close this. You got all the content of the file 2.txt under read mode, which is under read lines. So this is how this slash n is nothing but a new line, guys, whenever there is a new line. So that is how the file operations work with respect to Python. All right, so that is with read and write operations. We still have, I think, only exception handling. How many more minutes do we have, Manju? Do we have time, or we can call it off?
Sir, actually, we are running out of time.
Okay, I think we can call it off. We almost finished. Only
Okay,
libraries
sir.
are left, right?
Okay, sir.
Yeah.
Sir, actually, there is one question from
Yeah.
participant Satish Kumar. Hi, sir. When should we go for